It's gonna go people. Other than Minneapolis.
Welcome to the regular meeting of Guadalupe City Council Tuesday, May 28th. May we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Cosa Junior,
Here.
Councilmember Robles. Present. Councilmember Hernandez. Councilmember Fernandez. Here.
Here. Will you please stand with me for the pledge of allegiance? Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Next agenda item is moment of thanks, appreciation, and condolences. Anybody?
I'd like to do condolences to Mendoza, her boyfriend. Louis Magana, who's one of our police officers, passed away on Sunday. So I'd like to give condolences to them.
Thank you.
I'd like to give condolences to Don Arturo Ortiz, long-standing family man with many kids here in the city of Guadalupe. He just recently passed away, and condolences for his family.
And I would also like to add that Monica Marquez, who is a Nunez, she is 55, she's a long-term resident here. She worked for Cancer Hope Center in Center Ridge, so she passed away a couple days ago, almost the same time as Google did. And personally, you may find it strange, but my mother passed away this week. She was 94, was suffering with Alzheimer's, and but for 10 years she was actually suffering. So personally, my father passed away at 67, and my goal was to get past 67. Now my goal is past 94. So she's at peace now, so I appreciate that. Yeah, she
looks like
way up there.
My condolences.
Thank you. Thank you for
May-
the condolences.
Oh,
I want to say May is the National Mental Health Awareness Month. I would like to acknowledge that May 19th through May 25th, California Fire Service Behavioral Health Suicide Prevention and Awareness Safety Stand Down. Every day, firefighters throughout California are exposed to events and scenes you can imagine. Remember, if you see something, say something. Dial 988 for suicide and crisis lifeline. I just want to thank our firefighters for the work that they do and help keeping our communities.
I'd like to, we got an agenda review. Anybody would like to switch any of the agenda items around? Todd, you're good.
I'm good.
I wanted to, if I may, move community participation in front of presentations so that we can go on with anybody that's doesn't have an item that's on the agenda. Is that okay with council?
Very good.
Okay, so we'll move item 6 is community participation. So we're at that now. I have a request to speak, Mr. Carmona.
Yeah.
Please come up.
First and foremost, thank you. I'm sorry to hear a bunch of other guys.
Thank you.
Rest in peace. So thank you for your service. Coming to do your job as well. Really appreciate that and I respect that.
Thank you.
I just wanted a brief comment. I reached out to also Lady Christina over the weekend. I saw a post by the Parks and Rec department that they're hosting a movie night, June 21st, somewhere at Leeward Park, I believe. And the flyer was mentioning a $2 fee to have any willing participants come join for the movie night where this Parks and Rec personnel is going to charge. I kind of want to know the merits of that. Why are we charging? The Parks and Rec has been doing some of these events in the past and they had small success, albeit. But charging people to come is not gonna grow the event. I think we should make it more accessible and provide it more, maybe we should spend more money actually marketing it to kids or working with the school to get kids out there. I've myself hosted community movie nights in Pasadena, and I reached out to Parks and Recs last year and I never heard back to host one outside of Pasadena, maybe somewhere. Anywhere. I had bought my own equipment. I never heard back, and then the irony of it all, somebody initiated the process or initiated the movie night themselves, like almost took my idea, which is not nothing new, but they kind of read my email and just ran with it and started doing it on their own, which I was kind of happy to see. I did want to have a little more involvement, and this is free. I mean, this is coming free for me, right? Just giving back to the community. So the point I'm trying to make is, why are we charging people? I don't think we should be charging people for these events. If anything, yeah, just don't charge people, especially kids. Like, kids are already socially economically disadvantaged here in the community. And the $2 fees, albeit to you, like your salary's been asking like a lot, but to a lot of the working class families in the community, it is. So I don't think we should be structuring these recreational activities with a fee associated to it. That's pretty much.
Good point. And Anise Barajas isn't here
No, she's not.
today, but we'll take that message to her.
Yeah, I would appreciate your response, and I also want to say thank you to Christina for responding back to me over the weekend. She was kind of busy with her family. I appreciate that. And thank you for your
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your
Thank you.
comments. Anybody else out there that wants to speak on an item that's not on the agenda? If not, we'll go to presentations. Guadalupe wastewater treatment plant performance and available grant by Central Coast Regional Water Control Board, Jennifer F., Kathy, and Cecile. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
And you have here's a PowerPoint master over here.
Huh. The red one's the laser. The red one's the laser. Sure, just let us know when you'd like us to start.
Can you see?
Yes.
Okay, you can start, please. There you go.
Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Julian, and council members for just taking the time out of your agenda. I know you have many things to discuss at all these meetings, but we just very much appreciate the time. My name is Jennifer Lett, and I'll go to the next slide, which is so I'm the wastewater permit manager of the Central Coast Water Board. And I'm joined today by two of my staff. I've got Kathy Trong, who's a water resources control engineer, as well as Cecilia McCarthy, who's also a water resources control engineer. And Kathy has her eye on facilities that can benefit from state and federal funding to help improve the water quality of the wastewater plants. And Cecile works on permits for Santa Barbara County. I'll also talk a little bit about like who the heck is water board? What do we do, right? I often, as I go through my daily life, no one ever seems to know who we are. So I always like to explain that a little bit. So we're a state of California agency, and one of the things that we do is we regulate discharges of wastewater. So we issue permits to facilities like yours. And the main goal for that is that those facilities don't pollute California's water. And so your facility here in Guadalupe has a permit with us. And that permit contains both limits and requirements. And so a limit would be something about like how clean the water has to be when you treat your wastewater before you dispose of it. And then that permit also has monitoring requirements where it has you monitor how the plant is doing and then report that to it. And then we also like to help people connect with financial assistance, especially communities that are serving communities that might need financial assistance. We're always looking for what potential ways can we connect our wastewater facilities with community funding. And we see one of our key roles. So even though we're a regulatory agency, we actually share a lot of common goals with the entities that we work with, and we really do try to have a good collaborative working relationship with our cities and our communities. You know, some of the common goals that we all have, you know, you as a city, you know, having a working wastewater plan is really good for your city. I mean, nobody wants to think about what happens when they flush the toilet or take a shower. They just want it to all magically go away. And communities sometimes are also looking at growth sometimes, and when they're doing that, they also want to be able to have a facility that can potentially handle that growth. You guys also have important businesses here. You have a large vegetable processing facility, and that facility also wants to be able to do its business, wash the vegetables, have all that wastewater go to the treatment plant and not have to think about it. So those are some good common goals that we all share. I'll talk a little bit about just how wastewater treatment plants work, since most people don't think about what happens when they flush a toilet. So essentially, water that comes from homes as well as businesses. So that's your toilets, your showers, your kitchens, as well as with your large vegetable processing facility that cleans and processes vegetables, creates kind of dirty water comes from those homes. And that water then travels in the underground pipes that you have, and that goes to your wastewater treatment plant. And at that wastewater treatment plant, you do some amount of cleaning up of that water, and then you dispose of that treated wastewater. And for you, you have fields on either side of the Santa Maria River where you dispose of your wastewater. And so Cecile's going to show you some aerial photos that'll show that in a little bit more detail. But essentially what happens is that wastewater that you're disposing of then seeps or percolates into the ground. And so really two key components of wastewater systems are the ability for the plant to treat the water and clean it up, and then to have enough area to dispose of that wastewater, whatever volume you've treated, it's got to go somewhere. And sometimes communities limiting factors can be either one of those, like maybe the plant's not big enough, or maybe they don't have enough room to dispose. And as Cecile will show later on a couple of slides, you know, one of the challenges the city has faced recently is the ability to dispose of wastewater, especially during the storms. And some of those storms washed away some of the area where you guys would have normally disposed of wastewater. So why are we here? One of the reasons is honestly just to meet you all and to connect. You know, we're off this entity that lives in San Luis Obispo, you know, we correspond and things like that, but there isn't always a face to go with the names. And so we do try to come and meet people, and, you know, we're not the scary people from, you know, San Luis Obispo. We're actually a, you know, nice group of people that can have good conversations. So it's just good to connect and to put a face with the name. And then we also want to share both some opportunities and challenges that we see with your facility. You know, you've had a lot of turnover of various staff that are in the public works area. And so wanted to, you know, we've been looking at your facility for many years and can give you some insight. We also want to talk about some common goals. You know, as we talked about before, you know, we all want a working facility. It's good for us, it's good for you, and it supports your existing communities. Health and the needs of your existing community, and if you want to grow, it can also support them. We're also going to encourage you to submit a grant application. You know, that is always a good step to try and see if we can help you obtain financial assistance to help with the challenge. And as I mentioned before, we like to connect people with potential funding because of the benefit from local communities. And with that, I'll turn it over to Cecile.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My condolences, Mayor, to your mom. Thanks for sharing that. So my name is Cecile Bancarte, and my role here in the City of Guadalupe is City of Guadalupe's wastewater treatment plant is to review reports submitted to us by the plant operators and to assess if it's meeting the designed parameters of the wastewater treatment plant. In doing so, this fulfills my responsibility as a public servant to the people and businesses of Guadalupe, ensuring they have basic sanitary services, and secondly, to ensure the protection of local water resources, which includes groundwater, creeks, streams, and rivers. the past 3 years have presented the following 3 challenges you see up here on the screen. And so let's talk about storm preparedness and disposal. The 2023 storm event challenged the wastewater treatment's critical infrastructure and has to this day set back the ability of wastewater to be properly disposed. To add to this setback, the city shared the area of land used for wastewater storage and disposal with another tenant. And that tenant has other means of use for the same land. In short, lack of storm preparedness and disposal area continues to place the city in violation of their wastewater disposal permit. The next couple of slides will be to remind everyone of the 2023 storm devastation caused to the disposal field. So this is an aerial of the city of Guadalupe in 2006, and right here with the pointer out, I'm just gonna give you some orientation. This is where the wastewater treatment plant is at, right?
And for those of you looking at this screen, and some,
Yeah, thank you. And then from here, I don't know if it's really clear, but there's a water body right here, and that is the stormwater retention basin or pond. And it's pretty large. And then over here, this is the city of Santa Maria River. And then this green belt area right here, this is where the city of Guadalupe disposes of their treated wastewater. So fast forwarding to 2023 after the storm event, it's easy to see that the disposal area, a good lot like a third of its capacity or area to discharge water is now under. And then additionally, this storm is full of water. And actually, I'd like to just kind of define that stormwater retention basin a little bit more. So the stormwater retention basin, again, this one right here, that's 43 acre pond for the a couple decades ago, about 43 acres, and it should hold about 40 days of wastewater during the storm event. And that's because during storm events, the city cannot spray or dispose of their wastewater onto that disposal field. And so during a storm event, the wastewater should come in and fill in this stormwater retention basin. And in this case, it was full prior to the storm. And so there was no place for the city's treated wastewater to be disposed of after the storm event. And then this is just an overlay of FEMA. And so FEMA has created these flood zones, and it's clear to see that the entire disposal area of the city of Guadalupe's wastewater is always going to be fighting flood. It's always going to be underwater during, or it has that risk, a high risk of being underwater. And then here's just another perspective of that storm event. And this is the stormwater retention basin right here. And you can see that it's kind of full of water. It captured a December rain event, so it's already starting to fill up. Here's the river right here. And then this green area, that's disposal field. And then just kind of keep an eye on this tree line over here. So after the rain event, this is what it looked. This is what the city of Guadalupe looked like. So you can see there's no more retention, everything's flooded, and even the disposal field is underwater. So even the stormwater retention basin has a zero capacity to take in any kind of waste. And so what this means is people can't flush toilets, businesses should be setting. Unfortunately, what actually did happen is that the wastewater kept going down the pipes and then just went down the river into the ocean. So. There are several areas of improvement to be made with regard to the city's wastewater treatment plant. Having to do with reporting and operational conditions. Right now, it's not uncommon for me to have to contact the wastewater treatment plant operators. Requesting the status of their monitoring reports. Reports are due quarterly and an annual basis, and they are often 60 to 90 days late. Operationally, the wastewater treatment system is in disrepair. They don't meet a lot of their treatment levels. And some of the parts, like their sludge, dredging, micro ponds get filled with sludge, and they haven't been dredged. They were supposed to be dredged months ago, and they haven't been. And the aeration system, the treatment system is damaged due to years of neglect and not repairing the chamber. These treatment plant conditions lead to permit violations. And for the most part, also the city is not in control of their disposal areas due to you having to share the same land with the cattle rancher. There's a conflict of goals for this land, and the disposal area has been chronically altered by the cattle rancher for at least the past 5 years. This has been documented. Needless to say, the water board has had to issue notice of violations to the city due to the project. And so with that, I will pass it on to Kathy to cut some good.
Thank you, Cecile, and good evening, city council members. My name is Kathy Chong. I'm a water resource control engineer at the Central Coast Water Board, and I am also part of the wastewater consolidation office. So in the past years, I have coordinated with the different public works directors that City of Guadalupe has had to convey the different grant funding opportunities, and I wanted to come to the stage. So the City of Guadalupe qualifies for state grants to upgrade their existing wastewater treatment plant. And this would be a great opportunity and provide a path of compliance and also provide future critical infrastructure. The floods that happened in 2023 will continue to happen. And so we want to work together to create a solution that will prepare for future storm events. So notice of violations that Phil mentioned do help for the project to be prioritized by the state board. And so one option would also be doing the wastewater treatment plant improvements, as well as considering consolidation with the city of Santa Maria wastewater treatment plant. And the grant can pay for both planning and construction costs, and eligible construction costs for the consolidation project could include upsizing, repairs to the city's collection system to facilitate transmission, new and improved lift stations, pipe to the receiving system, and upsizing of the receiving system collection system to accommodate the city's additional flow, as well as capacity increases to the receiving systems. So our team's role and what we're here for is to help advocate for the city to help identify grant opportunities with state. And so based on, this is just high level information on City of Guadalupe's grant funding information. So the City of Guadalupe qualifies as a small disadvantaged community according to the American Census of American Community Survey data from 2018 to 2022. The city is eligible for 100% grant funding, and the city would be eligible for up to 4,500 per residential, 145,000 per residential connection for repairs and upgrades, and up to 125,000 per residential connection for a consolidation project. The planning application could include project administration, environmental documentation, design, and feasibility studies. And so priority projects would include regional board violations, enforcement orders, consolidation projects, and regional board priority projects. To summarize everything up, our ask from City Council today is to provide support for the city and MKN, your technical consultants that you guys have contracted out to submit the planning and construction grant We encourage the city to submit the planning application as soon as possible. When the application is submitted into the Division of Financial Assistance at State Board database, the sooner we at the regional board can help advocate for the project and put it onto State Board's radar. The project alternatives identified in the feasibility study during the planning grant process could help to identify options for a path towards compliance for the city. And that concludes our presentation today. We appreciate the city council for their time and meeting with us, and we're happy to answer any questions at this time.
Yeah, thank you. You know, you have a past mayor here, and we always have the wastewater treatment plant and its disposal area, so. Has our engineer been on this?
Yes, in fact, today we applied for the planning grant, feasibility planning grant. So it was submitted actually today, so it's ironic that you mentioned, which will then carry out maybe possible options, either regionalization or consolidation or upgrading our existing plan. So we submitted that today.
No, this is the first time we've ever seen, the new staff come to us. We always figure there's big burly guys coming over there, finding us $10,000 a day for a problem, so. It's a pleasure to have you here, and I know our staff's gonna be working with you with you and the state to get this to happen. I know that. When our engineer mentioned this a couple months ago, a month and a half ago, about consolidating with Santa Maria. It just makes sense for us. There's not much area for us to expand. Or especially on the, on our sites for disposal, so. We appreciate your being here. Any questions? No? Staff, any?
No.
Lupe, do we have any comments?
Your comment? Come on up.
Good evening, council and staff and viewing audience. So. Yes, we've had some problems in the past with the sewer plant. I'm not sure if it's. How serious they are. I understand it's the staff that. Issues a notice of violations and can make it difficult for Guadalupe to continue their day-to-day operations. However, just a few points. I don't want to. Talk about too much about the Royal Theater, but it's almost kind of like that right here, because we're gonna jump in. There's a grant was submitted today. I don't know how or why. Usually the council approves a grant application before it gets out to these agencies, not directly from staff. That's the way it usually works. I could be wrong. At the same time, we do have our system already currently in place. That means all our sewer connections. We are sized properly in most areas. If not, development usually pays for those upgrades. And they're saying $45,000 per connection. I'm not sure if that means $45,000 per connection in lieu of not connecting, or in other words, each connection. Let's say we have 2,000 connections, you will get almost $9 million ballpark. I'm just using some rough math. I don't know if that's enough. If you're gonna run a sewer line all the way to San Maria sewer plant, you have about 6 miles of pipeline. You have easements, you have Caltrans permits, you have water wells that are drilled for the farmers, irrigation systems that are in the way. I think you need a good feasibility study, the pros and cons. Some of these factors that were erased, decimated. Yeah, they grow back. We don't have rainy years every year. We were in a drought for probably like 10 years. And we all need water. Obviously, we all need facilities to get rid of our wastewater. But I think we need to do our feasibility beforehand and not after the fact, like the Royal Theater, because here we're doing cost estimate after we've already got the grants and after the plans have been drawn. If this turns out to be a $70–80 million project, and then it's like, now we're going forward, then now we need to move on.
That's the point. That's the point of the feasibility. To understand that.
Right. So, but
So that's the point.
So, I understand that.
Yeah.
But just feasibility study is only part of it. The expense of the design, the expense of the construction is another part.
Then you'd pursue grants for that. But you need the feasibility to determine your options.
So I'd still like to get clarity on how grants are applied for. I always thought it was a council that applies for grants. And then it goes out.
Okay, thank you. Ladies, any comments?
Yeah, the gentleman's comments are spot on. Yeah, you want to do the planning first, and so that's why we're encouraging you to do the planning grant first, and then you basically evaluate options, look at costs and see what makes sense. So. Committee of grant application is committing you to one solution or another, if not, fixing any price and that's basically looking at. But the great news is we can help fund you guys looking at choices.
Was there a timeline on the grant application?
One question he did have, it would be 45,000 per residential connection for the city of Guadalupe. And there is different options for a higher amount to be requested if it is appropriate with the deputy director at the Division of Financial Systems. There are options available.
The process to move forward, so.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions, any comments?
No, just study will help.
Appreciate you sharing this information with us, and I know that our engineers and Todd mentioned that we submitted the application for it, and it may be like Lipa mentioned, maybe that this was news to us in terms of what was going on, so we appreciate that. So now we'll be catching up on what we're actually applying for, so.
And the grant that we applied for is a planning grant, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, and we're happy to come, we're just in San Luis Obispo, so we're happy to come here anytime you guys want to go up to the plant. We actually love visiting wastewater plants. And the only caveat I will say with any of the grants is that, state doesn't have endless amounts of money. However, if you don't apply, you don't get an assistance, you'll never get them. And so you never want to overpromise, like, hey, for sure you're gonna get this, but we're really good at trying to figure out how we can best help you, how to make you most competitive, and maybe if it's even not this year, maybe we can get it next year, and that's part of our job is to help you try to figure out how to get queued up, so when there is money available, you can take it.
Well, the photos that were shared displays our need, so. All right, thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
you.
All right, Chief, you're up. Now it's going to be Safety Support Team, Mr. Mike Cash, Director of Public Safety.
You, Mr. Mayor, staff, and citizens. We were asked last city council meeting by Councilperson Hernandez of an update on where the GSST is at this time. But before we start that, I'd like the real minds behind this project to introduce themselves.
Good evening. Okay, there we go. Good evening, everyone. Mireya Pina. I work over at Little Hospital Park, the Family Service Agency, and I've been participating with the team since the initial conversation. And I am the coordinator for them. So
Garrett Matsura, been a part of the project since its inception as well, and what is we recently had somebody resign, so kind of I think we're all splitting the load between training and administration. So, but we're excited.
Okay, good.
Just a real quick before we get in there, how this really kind of started. This was from the ground up, from these individuals here about how they could help with the city and doing volunteer work. We found this out. I'm glad the wastewater people were here after the 2023 flood. We had a lot of groups and individuals asking how they can really participate. We didn't have anything together. These individuals stepped forward and how can we support? So this started off very centric to police and fire. But we got directed that they wanted more of a city type response so that they can get volunteers and people to participate. So this is more of a city safety support team, and it's not really police and fire, but they will help police, fire, and any other departments that could need assistance. So the first thing to start off was to get together an academy of training, and we spent several months really just kind of filtering through everything from designs to what we wanted to do and so forth. So our first aspect, after we got everything together with recruitment flyers and policies and procedures and different aspects of what the group would be doing, the whole thing was to get there at the academy. Our first part of the academy was going to have our board be the first ones to go through the training, but we wanted to at least have 10 other volunteers so that we could make this a successful type academy. So Captain Schmidt is prepared to start our academy. I think we were up to 9 or 10.
We're up to 10 and now we're at 9.
We're at 9.
So, but we have a couple people that we've been talking to, so.
Well, and so hopefully we'll get soon. On that, eligibility requirements, resident Guadalupe, but that's always going to be open because we find a lot of people outside. They can devote the time we're looking for. The group talk about age of 16 and older because we had one really that's 16. He came to volunteer to do some work, and we didn't really know what to do with him. His mother said had him filling bags of sand, and so now we found out, hey, we got young people who want to be a part of this. No arrest records, excluding motorcycle traffic violations.
Motorcycle or minor? Is that a big?
Just this week, we're going to participate in these 80% of the classes and a limit of 25 participants and a minimum of 10. So that we can make sure everyone is really participating and have something to do. As a program designed to acquaint civilians with their local public safety, this will be started out with first, but provides community members with inside look at police fire preparedness, understanding of tasks police officers, firefighters do on a daily basis. But this is expanded. Sure, this is the old synopsis. Things we talked about as far as from a police curriculum. I don't know if this is the one that I sent, but okay. We're going to do a senior assistance program, which is something that we're doing now. They're going to be able to help just to kind of get out in the community, see what needs to be done. School resource officer assistance, traffic control. We have parades and everything. So and when we say like crime prevention, it's a lot of just having eyes, helping the community members, what's going on in our communities, how can we assist? And we talked about here for home safety, CERT training, which is going to be really the backbone of everything we do with that community emergency response team training. And then even our communications, which is a challenge for us here in town because we do not have a radio station, we do not have newspapers. So pretty much everyone's either on Facebook, but we still have the Everbridge communication system that we can send messages out, which we did during the storm. And so be able to help on special events, parades and memorials. So we have a 1 week, 10-hour session for 2 hours. And 36 hours of CERT training so that everyone becomes certified. So that is how this is going to really function. And the thing that I think is really important, the police department, fire department, public safety, we're not the driving force behind this. This is gonna be run and administered by our civilians. And so we hope that'll be the connection the community will see. This is a community-driven, community-sponsored type event. And we're here as support to them, to be able to give them information, guidance, as the uniform that they have on tonight. This one, so they'll be like our ambassadors around town and helping visitors and residents alike and whatever issues that we may have from a city perspective, where we might need assistance. This is gonna be a great resource. It'll be a great option for our citizens to find a way to volunteer, that they maybe never really thought about. But it'll be a structured volunteer and it'll be volunteers directing volunteers. So with that, is there anything you guys would like to add?
When is the start date for your training? Or what day you want to add? Let them add first. I don't know if you. Okay.
Really, it became so apparent after the flooding incident, how Guadalupe helps Guadalupe. We look after ourselves, and the community has the resilience that it's a shared resilience among the community. And so rather than have to rely on outside agencies, it made a lot of sense to have a means, a pathway for the citizens to help each other, help themselves. And we wanted to make this as inclusive as possible, to give as much training as possible, and really provide the opportunity for the Guadalupeans to stand up for themselves. So.
I guess I just want to share why this is important to me. Being a part of this team, it really, I was kind of hesitant. I'm like, I can't really be in another committee or anything like that, but I feel like we saw the need for it. I think it's always nice to plan ahead, right? Instead of dealing with the aftermath of things. This just kind of felt like a little bit more of a structured way to do that. Something else that I really liked was as we were developing some of the sheets of paper and kind of the protocols, we were talking about how we can include other people in the community. I think we all have a lot of different strengths, and sometimes we're not able to really bring them to the table and make use out of them. So this just seemed like a really good opportunity for us to do that. I know you've had conversations around how do we make it accessible, right? There's like CERT trainings. Is that available in Spanish? You know what I'm saying? But I think it's important to kind of continue to be this person so I can continue just bringing light to that. Because if we don't bring light to being inclusive with language in other ways, then I don't know if it's going to be useful. So I guess that's what why I'm really excited to be a part of this safety support team.
How are you funded?
See what
Yeah. That's the
That is currently, that is not in our budget. We're just kind of, I'm using funds from fire and police. Just trying to stretch the dollar, and they've been very supportive. So it's something that eventually we would need to talk about. But right now, everyone's just putting their time up and really doing this.
I will say that the chief and I had found out about a grant, so I'm not sure there's a possibility there as well.
in my previous work life, there's a Spanish cert trainer, Spanish TV cert trainer and material, so I'll connect with you, chief, to get that one.
Thank you.
Where's the training gonna happen?
Once we get our EOC back up, that's where that's where we have our meetings and that's where we're housed. So we're gonna use that as our, headquarters, for now. That way they'll have their own space to be able to bring in, citizens who are not gonna feel committed to the police department or fire department, but committed to the city.
Good. Any question from the council? Beth?
Thank you, Chief and the GSF team. I really appreciate Maria's remarks in regards to being inclusive. Do you have a list of maybe all the members or who they are? I know we see two of them.
Yes, we have, it looks like I said, we just lost one and, I mean, okay, Grace. Was a great inspiration to the group. But as you can see right now, the leadership that we have right now, this is going to work. They keep me in check more than anything else. Okay, when's this next meeting? We want the paperwork here. I'm going like, I work for you. But it seems that way, and it's been very enjoyable seeing how this is slowly grown and the people that they talk to and we're gonna have. So we still, if you know of any, and I like to think Todd's office, they put all our stuff on the website. So you can find GSST on the website with the flyer and application and rules and regulations and everything. So if anyone can give us volunteers, someone that might be interested, or the ones who like to talk about volunteering, you know, put up or shut up. We can move it.
I know with being more inclusive, sometimes just the link on the website just doesn't do it. Do you have some marketing that you're outreaching to the local community, or maybe some examples of putting up some flyers, maybe where there is community members that might be interested?
And at this time, no, talking about funding, you know, everything for us is, I just, thank goodness we have a great finance director. Let me move, and I move some money for flyers and other stuff. We're shoelaces right now. I get, it's being very straightforward, and it's through most of their work, but he's an IT guy.
I will say to your question, Councilwoman, we have talked about this at the Guadalupe Coalition of Nonprofits. So it has been extended out through that channel, and we've got about 35 nonprofits that are involved with that. That started out under Los Minas of Guadalupe, and it is now housed under the Guadalupe Business Association. So they are all aware as well. We do have bilingual flyers that have been created. They haven't been regularly posted all over town, but to a limited extent, they have been. And in fact, while I don't have a list of all of the volunteers who have signed up to this point, Abraham, who was here earlier, is one of those community members that has decided to put up. So
I used to be on the mailing list for Coalition of Nonprofits, and I haven't heard anything, so I would love to be added to that sign up list if possible.
sure, you can still be on it. We haven't removed anybody, so I do know that from wearing the IT hat, I have heard a lot of people complain that with changes to the email protocols lately, a lot of people just stop getting emails from things like MailChimp or Constant Contact. And so it's we're looking to resolve. I'll definitely get it.
Thank you so much. I do get the GBA email, but I don't have that volunteer.
I'll look into it. Thank you.
I think that, or did you put it into your budget? It would be something we want to get in.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Tonight.
that way we can actually have looked at what you needed, and we can have a conversation.
Fair.
About it. I know we talked about cost for like supplies. I think you had a list of that. We, with that as well, like, we need to put that also, into, I know you've already purchased it through, that was funded, right? Right. But I have to keep track of that as well, so we need to keep a good communication. Definitely. Where you're at, like what's been used and what hasn't, when you're replenishing, just because I have to check for, stuff in the balance sheet.
One more comment. Maria, congratulations on the master's degree. All right, we're good? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Darren. Yeah.
All right, next item is consent calendar. Following items are presented for city council approval without discussion as a single agenda item. Is there anyone that wishes to pull any of the consent item A, B, C, or D? I'm good. Pursue. Bye.
Bye.
Any comments from the public, email or anything regarding these items? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Bye.
All ayes, thank you. Management reports, city administrator report, information only.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just to let you know, I don't know if I actually came to you to ask for the Safe Routes to School grant, but we applied for it and received $105,000 to help the school out. We're a little short. They didn't give us the full amount. The total project count is $480,000. We're gonna apply for ATP funds, and I think I've kept you abreast of those, and I see that as a positive thing. Also, we're working with Cal Poly, Dr. Nuroso, and the county and the city to put together a climate action plan and have the school there to work on that. And it'll help benefit our general plan update is one of the elements that we can solve. And it's not a cheap process, so I feel good about that as well. Staff, because Christine had indicated that she wanted us to look into a state parks grant. It's called the Art in the Park grant. So I hooked her up with our Emily, and she's working with Denise to look at some possible brainstorming ideas for a grant there. As you know, June 18th is a special city council meeting on the Royal Theater. Andrew Goodwin Design and Tom Brandyberry will be presenting. I know, well, because someone had to zoom in, I think we'll have to do it here, but unless we could have Tom come here. And some have expressed, no, this would be a regular agenda that goes out.
Right.
Some have expressed is there a way to get more of a word out, so I'm not sure if you want to do that
I
or
don't
not.
think there's gonna be enough word out.
Yeah. So, other than that, that ends my report.
No, well, yes, I won't be here, but I'm hoping that I can watch it live as I would,
Can send you a link
yeah.
or, yeah,
It would-
or see it live, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a regular meeting, so we have to make sure that
Cool.
she's noted that, are you gonna zoom in or you?
I will zoom in, I will be on vacation.
Well, you can participate, excuse me, I apologize, you can, you can participate. You can participate, yes, and actually, if you are listening in, if you're gonna say anything, or actually, we should probably do it by the book, and I can talk to you later about how to do that.
Okay, yeah, let's talk, because I would like to be involved, it just happens
We
that
want you to be involved.
Yes. I did the same thing, how dare I?
It'd be great.
I'll be zooming in as well.
It'd be great if she could run the Zoom board.
That's fun. Mr. Mayor, could I just, talk about the grants? Mr. Alvarez was probably correct that in the past, that's how it's often been done, about seeking council permission for grants before applying. But I think in practice, that has to do with certain types of grants and certain amounts. I think the legal requirement is the council has to accept the grant. Doesn't necessarily have to approve applying for it. Cities have their own rules. There isn't like any hard and fast law. If there's some interest in creating some policy about that, then we can do that. That would be pretty easy to create a policy and have the council approve it.
You know, it's the opposite. We want staff to look at what's out there in the way of resources and again, if we get the money and to receive it, then we approve it, but go for it. That's what we
Okay,
have.
well, yeah, it seems to me that was the consensus, and the council's been informed about city going to seek grants and did in the consent agenda and didn't say anything like not to do it.
Right.
We will always bring the approval of the grant to you for acceptance, because we would not be able to use it without it. We could do it if it's a big enough grant, say it's like millions of dollars. We could bring the approval to you and ask you to delegate the the acceptance of it to the city administrator. So at that point, you're still accepting it if it's awarded.
Right, thanks for that.
Thank you.
But
Thanks.
finished, are you?
Yes,
good?
sir.
For the Royal Theater, will there just be a notice?
Well, it is a special city council meeting, so the actual agenda will go out as a normal agenda would be, with the exception that it's a special city council meeting. So it's not like, it'll go on the website, goes to you, email the links and those who get the hard copy. But for all intents and purposes, it's a regular meeting notice notification.
It's already out on Facebook and everything else, so those opposed, those not opposed. So it's going.
And that was the 18th, right?
That's correct, at 6 o'clock, and, you know, maybe we can, would you like me to see if, we can figure out a Zoom somewhere in the auditorium? We haven't sent it out yet, I'm just saying I could look into it.
Well, how many seats we got up there? We got 30?
70, well, total capacity is 75 in this
No,
room.
we could put more chairs in there. This
Yeah.
is easier because you have you have the full wire.
Yeah.
and- We'll try here.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, next item, Director of Public Safety. See Cash.
Thank you. First and foremost, yesterday was at the Guadalupe Cemetery for Memorial Day. And very well attended. People that were there. So it was a very solemn event. The other thing too is we've been having, I think that we're on our third case of vandalism at the city jail. Someone keeps painting on there and stuff.
Okay,
No, that's us. I think the white paint's us.
there's white graffiti all over the.
Oh, okay. Been talking with Rudy and our
Eddie.
yeah, going back and forth. So we're gonna figure out some other kind of methods to be able to detect what's going on. So just make sure if you've heard that that place has been hit a couple times. We're very much aware of it, and we're working on some avenues to make apprehensions.
So they hit the monument coming into town. Guadalupe Monument coming into town.
Okay,
So.
on Main
Yeah,
or
on the
166?
166, they're just white all over the place, and you follow the white paint all over the area, so.
The other thing we've been hearing and we talk about, yeah, you can't help but not see on Facebook is, there's a few people who will, make concerns concerning code compliance. We're trying to get the word out and as a city, our city attorney knows, you don't turn it over in 20 days sometimes. But the thing that we're trying to get out to people, if you see it, alert us, not on Facebook, complain about it, but, you know, like, let us know where it's at, so that we can address it. We have a long list of places that we've sent letters out, so we're working hand in hand. And I really thank Phil for giving us the guidance is for us to be patient. Because it does take a while to kind of get this down, but we're going through the steps. And the things that we can correct quickly, we do with a lot of community input. At Roy's Liquor, we had a couple of, or one homeless person that was, did some defecation on the sidewalk. And so we made sure that we took care of him. But then we helped the owner of the business there. Fire department came and we had them wash down the sidewalk and in front of Roy's Liquor, and they're keeping it that way, which is very nice. And the same thing happened at the Basque House, where we had a homeless gentleman that was there and left a lot of materials there. You know, so we're dealing with him, but we also went back and we brought Rudy in, and so this has been a whole city group. We all went down there, picked up all the trash, and then fire washed it down. So if you drive by it right now, it looks really nice and clean. So we're trying to step up when we see something that is very obvious, even though sometimes it's on private property. We'll talk with the owners of the property, see if we can get compliance right away. But if we can help to at least alleviate some of the help, then we'll definitely do that. But we have photos, so we've already contacted like the Far Western property
with all the weeds in the back, and we're dealing with, a young lady at 9th there in Pioneer who's home with the bus and so forth. We're trying to work that angle. So there's a lot of things that are on the table. And so we just ask, please call us. We do have 1 or 2 citizens who will call us on a regular basis and help us with a couple homes. But just so that if you get that information, we have a log and we're sending out information and trying to get compliance as soon as possible.
Is that the non-emergency number for graffiti?
Yes, ma'am.
I see that you're gonna also be a keynote speaker. Would you want to share with the council?
Which one? Lumpo. Oh, okay. I'm a keynote speaker for Use Women in another place. Yes. Boy, really good. No, I've been selected to be the keynote speaker for the Juneteenth celebration in Lompoc as the first and only African-American police chief in the county of Santa Barbara. So personally, I like to thank the city of Guadalupe for giving me the opportunity to begin with. And it's been such a pleasure, and to get to now go to Lompoc to stick out my Guadalupe chest. It's just another feather in the cap.
Good job. Good job. And when is that actually, you have a flyer there?
Juneteenth.
No,
Yeah.
Saturday, June 15th, 11 to 5 in Old Town Hall.
They said Old Town Lampo, that's.
Is that
Little
who's
Joe.
H?
Are you?
Oh,
All right,
You represent us well.
Thank you.
all right,
Yeah, you will.
thank you, Chief. We'll go to item 10, Human Resource Managers Report.
You just gotta delay a second.
hold it down.
Press it down. a
Hold the
little
button.
Oh,
No,
blue?
There you go.
Like a rookie over there.
Yeah.
This report actually covers March and April, but I will try and be as brief as possible. We did have 3 new hires in the course of March and April. Maintenance worker, obviously, recreation services manager and HR. We do have several positions that were posted, starting with the building attendant, which thankfully we're currently in the background process with that one. Senior center has been a bit challenging, but there are resumes being reviewed, and we'll continue on that one. Public safety, we have a police officer still in background. And then we have a brand new police officer recruit that we have just, resumes are being reviewed. Public Works Director recruitment continues on that one. And maintenance worker, we also posted that about a month due to a resignation. Interviews have been ongoing, and we will be extending an offer very soon.
You just have to talk directly into it.
Right in it?
Yeah. there you go. Well, turn it, just pick it up.
I can really.
Very tight.
Sorry. Grant administrator, we have interviewed a couple of candidates, and we have a decision pending. Hopefully that one works out. And then finance clerk, we took a bit of a pause on that one, but we will pick that back up and get some resumes going again. We still have the 2 long-term workers' comp claims that are being monitored. Unfortunately, that's just a slow-moving profit. Couple items on miscellaneous. We will have our training for discrimination and anti-harassment. That is scheduled for the first week of September. And we'll have the invitations club shortly. We do have a OSHA mandated workplace violence prevention plan that is due in about 30 days.
So we need to get that going. I'm working on it, but we'll get that going. And that is a very, very detailed plan to be in place, the employees trained by July 1st. That's it.
Question?
Did you speak of the public works department is about to be built? I missed.
I'm sorry,
Director?
Director, it's ongoing. Recruitment.
Those some big shoes that person has to fill, you know, catches to be anybody. You know, they gotta have a lot of backup.
Okay,
And that first.
any questions from staff and council? Hearing none, thank you. Okay, regular business items, approving the classification and job description for the regular full-time firefighter position. Maria,
Mayor, I'm gonna defer this to Chief Cash, 100%.
Smooth. Guess when you think you're retired, you can just defer. Just get that in minutes. Mr. Mayor and City Council, the subject talked about today is approving the job description of firefighter for the City of Guadalupe Fire Department. I'm gonna kind of cut and paste so that we get the whole gist of this without just reading word for word.
Good.
Thank you. The main issue we're really talking about is fire department, I'm in discussion area, has never staffed at the entry level position. That's the first part, is we never had firefighters, so there's no entry level position. That's the main thing that we'd like to at least have the council authorize for hiring practice. With that being said, at this time, here we go, grants again. We have applied for the SAFER grant. Did you ask for? I did not get that. We have not, we applied for the SAFER grant through FEMA. What the SAFER grant does, there is a no cost share and no matching by the city for and assist a city to hire firefighters. So first of all, we have to approve the position before, if we're able to get the grant, to be able to have firefighters. The grant has been submitted, talking with our grant people, like we have a very good chance to kind of get the grant. So what are we looking at long-term? First of all is looking to have the position authorized. Second is we're talking about the possibility of a grant. And the grant we would look at is how much does it cost now to have a firefighter? So if we were able to get the grant, we would not pay. We'd look to have 3 firefighters come on board. We would not have to pay until the 3rd year for the firefighter. So one firefighter for a year is $111,000 and $605. So for 3 firefighters per year is $334,000, $815. So if we got the grant, we hired 3, we wouldn't have to pay until the grant expired, which would be after the 3rd year. And then that yearly cost for 3 firefighters would be $334,815. The other part of the grant is there is no obligation to keep the personnel on after the 3 years also. So they could work for 3 years and they could be dismissed. We're looking at this, Guadalupe has a slow but steady growing population and increased calls for service, which per industry standards are outpacing our current ability to effectively respond and provide service. This became really apparent when we had 2 calls at the same time. Right now, you have the 2, the fire engineer and the captain. And per law and HIPAA and medical requirements, once they're at a scene and they're rendering aid, they cannot leave until that person is either transported to the hospital or they deem that person is okay. And I've been here where we've had 2 calls And I was begging them to come, but they could not leave, and I had to stand by with a young child that was going through an epileptic seizure. And I was just trying to maintain him, and his mother was standing there watching. So there is that need. Right now, there is no fiscal impact to this. All we're asking for is to have the position approved. If that approval does come, then we would look further down the line. If the grant, if they say that we, that we're eligible or we do get the grant, we would bring this back to city council to look at voting on that separately as far as accepting the grant and then moving forward. But as today, we're just looking to have the position approved. That is my report.
You know, how does this, I have a problem moving forward with this, but it mentions that, the individual coming in is making 100 benefits and salary 111,000. How does it fit in with current staff?
Cost wise or
Yeah,
numbers?
no,
Not sure.
Yeah, if I'm making 90,000 and these guys are coming, or ladies, coming in at 111,000 total, how does that?
Oh, the firefighter is always gonna be making less than the personnel that we have on board. This is, we use the numbers from the newly negotiated MOU.
Okay,
And then we looked at prorating in year 3, where would that dollar amount be
okay,
for that step level?
okay, so the total here is less than a regular staff,
Yes, sir.
right? Yeah, that's
So that's,
still. not enough.
Are you saying regular like fire staff or regular? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because the base rate is at 20 something.
2054.
It's nothing.
No. That's,
But that's with overtime and.
Yeah.
Really baked
Yeah.
in.
Any questions of the chief? Is there a motion to adopt resolution 2024-35?
I'll make that motion. Good enough. Resolution 2024-35.
Is there a second? There's a second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Gee, oh my God. That's all.
Councilman Costa, Junior.
Aye.
Councilmember Robles. Councilmember Fernandez. Councilmember Fernandez. Aye. Mayor Julian.
Aye. Thank you, chief.
Thank you. Chief.
Okay, item 12, amending master fee schedule and commercial cannabis business related fees, Todd.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, staff, public. We've been working with the cannabis program. I think everyone, we were talking about it since 2020, the mayor and the interest of it, and we were inexperienced about the whole process. It was just interesting how it all developed into a cannabis program that were worked out where we had 5 interviews. We charged them $10,500 for that application. They helped us develop the ordinance draft to work with the city attorney. Got through that process, selected to have a commercial processing operation. And along the way, there's just costs that incur. So we procured HDL to do work for us, do inspections and audit reviews to make sure that the money that they're getting in their gross sales, we get our certain percentage out of those agreements that they've agreed to, and making sure that everything is done right in the regulatory process. So we established some fees, an annual regulatory fee of $19,904. And every year we reassess that, and it's based on everybody who kind of touches it, including myself, the city attorney, finance, WANA, and just look at full cost recovery and also HDL's cost. So what we're coming tonight is to adopt the fees to be added to the master fee schedule, which will allow the city to fully recover, or nearly, its cost related to pre-licensing inspections, the fire and safety, and annual regulatory costs related to commercial cannabis business without exceeding these costs. So the proposal tonight is to adopt resolution amending the master fee schedule by increasing those fees based on HDL's review of what the real costs are. And so every year each applicant has to
pay us for that service. So they ask us to approve that resolution 2024-36. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to add just a couple of points of clarification.
Yeah.
The council adopted the fee last year, but we have not had the opportunity to actually impose it yet because they haven't even exercised their permits. The two retail operations, and this wouldn't kick in until that, because it's a renewal fee essentially, as well as ongoing. So they haven't actually, we didn't actually impose the fee, except we should have imposed the fee for 3013, which was the community benefit agreement fee that was in place, and it just wasn't, we don't have somebody supervising the program yet. We're working on that with the grant coordinator, as you well know, to have somebody actually follow through and monitor these things. So, two things. This is just to raise the fee based on increased costs, and HBL did their study. And we just want to do that every year to make sure that the costs are current. So we're doing that, but we also wanted some direction as to the two essentially $3,000 fees that we have not imposed on the actually the $3,000 fees. We haven't imposed them, and some time has passed. So I mean, we're fine at staff level, just telling them they should have been imposed, pay them now. It was on the books, or basically as a show of good faith to encourage their businesses. We could just waive those costs if the council wanted us to, but we don't have the authority to do that. We were just wanting direction about that because of the delay in the actually imposing the costs.
And then how that cost came about, the 3,000 was for the negotiation with these benefit agreements, and then what else we had to what else do we do?
That was primarily.
That was primarily
Yeah,
it. So I mean, I basically did the negotiation, but they helped us write the agreement.
Yeah, there was a lot of work putting in the draft of the template. And it spread out of costs and in my review of it. So that's where that cost is based.
Comments?
So, but the processing plan, is that something that they gotta pay also?
All of them would have
Yes.
to pay, yeah,
Then the processing plans are already going,
right.
okay?
And they're gonna pay, they would probably wind up paying the annual regulatory fee first.
20,000.
Because they're in operation, the other two are not. So like I said, if they had opened when all they said they were going to, we would have been able to impose that annual regulatory fee last year, but that didn't happen. So.
So what is the status on the two dispensaries?
But it's a little beyond the scope of this report. We do know that one of them's
One of them
planning on
July.
opening soon,
Yeah, I've seen that one doing a lot of work.
and we have no
Yeah,
information on
the other one is, yeah.
If the one, if the one opens in July, will they be paying the $20,000?
No, not until,
The new
That's it.
renewal.
they've already paid their initial fee. Their permit, now once they get that permit exercised and they open, then a year from then, well, that's what the next item is about. There's a little issue there, clarification, but generally speaking, they wouldn't have to pay that right away.
What about the $3,000 fee? Could they pay that at the time of opening?
That's due already.
But could we just say, instead of imposing it right
Oh,
now, when
sure.
you open, could we just say, as soon as you open, this was due?
Yeah, absolutely. We
I mean,
can,
That's a good idea.
we can certainly do that, yeah.
Logical to me.
I mean, it's just, well, the question isn't, that's great, and thank you for that, I hadn't thought of that. But the main question is, do you want us to impose it?
Yeah.
Because it was on the books or do we not want to impose it?
My feeling, we need to oppose.
Okay,
Okay.
That's my feeling. We got one more.
I agree, but I don't think, I would wait till they open, you know what I mean? Like, I would just, except the processing plant here needs to pay it as well. Just tack it on,
Correct.
but I wouldn't just come out of the blue, I think there's a good way to do that.
no, I
You
think
guys do that.
that's very reasonable.
And then, of course, we have the community benefit agreement. That's another subject, but that's the revenue that'll come in on an annual basis.
Yeah, well, yeah, one of the other things I thought is that if you didn't want the fee imposed, we could just ask them as an alternative to, instead of paying us that money, to add it to their community support.
I think we need the money.
Okay, well, this is why we came to you, because, if we had just done it on time, it wouldn't have been an issue, but once there was a forgivable neglect, forgivable absence of being on top of it. We felt a little awkward just asking for it. So we wanted some reassurance from the council that we were acting appropriately.
Side note, when we get to the budget, so in this total cost of 20,000, you'll see in this spreadsheet, it'll show the financial audits and the compliance inspections for 10,000 and then 2,500. That's HDL's cost. So the rest of it's, we get revenue for that for our time. So we're here working, but we're gonna get paid for the work and effort we put into this. So on the budget, it's gonna show that as an expense, that 10,000 plus 2,500. But on the revenue side, it's gonna show 20,903 for one. Does that make sense? So three times 20,000 will come in as revenue, but on the expense side, it'll be 12,500 times 3. We'll expense it out that way on your cannabis expense line item.
Okay, so right now it's not in the budget. That's
No,
what he's saying.
I just
Because
discovered it, thinking about it.
That's today. But he's telling you now, because when we do go and get into the budget, he wants to show that the revenue is coming in and then the offset that, the cost is coming in, but the offset is them paying it. So it'll still be a wash and my budget will still be balanced.
It will be, but I mean, it's actually additional revenue that you weren't gonna perceive to get.
Questions? The motion to adopt resolution 2024-36.
I motion to adopt resolution 2024-36.
Second,
I'll second.
any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Spock Junior.
Aye.
Councilmember Robles. Councilmember Hernandez. Councilmember Perez. Mayor Jordan.
Thank you. Next item. Amending the city's commercial cannabis business ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I tried to put a lot of background information as much as needed to understand why we're bringing this item forward in the staff report. I do not wish to go deeply into it. I will just say that when we were recently following up with the two retail cannabis operators about the timing of exercising their permits and the deadline for doing that and other things, it was discovered that there's a problem with the ordinance, or what appears to be a problem with the ordinance. Basically, it has to do with, I think it's just one of the drafting errors that weren't really noticed. One of the sections in chapter 9.22 states that all commercial cannabis permits must be renewed annually after they've been issued. That's great. The problem is there's another section that says the first commercial cannabis business permit that's issued to the prevailing candidates, the two that were selected by this council, they have 12 months to exercise it. To exercise it, they either have to open up and start selling stuff or get a certificate of occupancy, which would give them the legal right, whatever comes first. C of O should come first, but the real world, that doesn't always happen. So that's why it's worded that way. So theoretically, they would have 12 months to exercise their permit. And then based on the other wording, their annual permit renewal would be renewable at that moment. In other words, if you give somebody 12 months to basically open up, and then you say, oh, before you open up, you have to renew your permit. And then you have to have been in business for 4 months before 60 days before the deadline. So you really have to have been open for 6 months before. I know it's confusing. That's why it wasn't noticed. One of the sections says that to renew your permit, you have to do it 60 days before. You have to file your application to renew 60 days before the permit expires, and they all expire 1 year after they've been issued. So that makes sense if you have a renewed permit, right? You permit, say, it renews on every January 1st. November 1st, you got to file the application at 60 days before the expiration so that it can be processed. And if you haven't been in business for 4 months prior to that 60-day application deadline, in other words, 6 months before it expires, that would be grounds for the city to reject your permit. Well, the ordinance currently says shall reject it. I'm also recommending that we change that to may. No reason to make that a mandatory thing. It's something that we have the power to do, and we will do it if necessary, but no reason to do it in a hardship situation and have to bring an appeal to the council. So I'm making that recommendation also. But the main thing is the applicants that we're talking about haven't exercised their permits. They have until December 4th of this year to do so. So say that somebody was going to open up in September. Well, that would already be too late to comply with our ordinance, because even though they could get their renewal application on file in time, because that would have been October 4th, they wouldn't have been operating for 4 months prior to October 4th. So it's a catch-22. Clearly, there was just a mistake in the ordinance. So the ordinance was, the amendment before you tonight is to basically clarify that when a cannabis business permit has been issued for the first time, the renewal date starts from the date the permit's exercised, not when it was issued. Because it had been issued already. And they have, it just seems a fairer way to go about it. Now, I know that's a little confusing. I was confused writing this. I understand that I might have brushed it over a little too quickly. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer. But this really is a clerical amendment, and no one is here to complain about it because this is in the interest of our cannabis business permit licensees or holders. And I'm sure they'll be very happy when we announce that the council has introduced this ordinance.
Any questions, Bill? Is there, mention the recommendation, city council waive full reading and introduce, ordinance number 2024-519 by title only, and continue the meeting to the meeting of June 11th, 2024 for second reading and adoption. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'm motion for the first reading of the 2024-519 ordinance with the amended.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All ayes. Okay. We go to item 14, fiscal year 2024-25 for the budget workshop.
You want to take a break before?
Let's do that.
You can buy a lot.
Yeah. Do it in 30 minutes.
If you don't have any questions.
We do. Good call. Is this still on?
Yeah, it's still on.
Oh, yeah.
That-
session. Yeah, really.
Okay,
All right.
how to make this a paper.
Good stuff.
Freudian slip.
Get it back online, fiscal year 2024-25 proposed budget workshop. Janice.
Okay, so thank you, council, thank you, staff. It is recommended that the city council review and interactively discuss the proposed budget for the fiscal year 2024-25, along with the capital improvement project budget, capital facility program, project, and American Resource Plan Act, also known as ARPA allocation of funds. The background on this, city staff has prepared a preliminary draft of the budget for the fiscal year 24-25. As part of the process, each department has had an opportunity to evaluate and determine appropriate proposals to continue maintaining current levels of service. City staff seek recommendation from council to finalize the budget and prioritize the use of the funds. Discussion and proposed budget overview, general fund summary, the preliminary budget, the budget includes revenues of $10,726,442 and expenditures of $10,372,740. And you can see it within the graph that we are very well aligned. The expenditures are broken down in the following graph by department. So if you look, each department has the expenses that are within the budget. And then if you have any questions on this graph, let me know.
We'll just uptick the cannabis.
Yes,
Right.
so there it says 10,000, that's where we're going to increase it by.
I can actually get that for you. I mean, if you just trust, we'll put the right number in it. 9,039. Yeah, or less than 12,500, it's 20,000 less 12,500.
Okay,
So
so 20,000 is what?
20,000 is the entire revenue. But on the
Okay.
expense side, we're gonna have to take out what we pay to HDL.
So with the 10,000, so it'll increase. So this 10,000 will be 22,500. 10,000 of that is HDL cost, and then.
That'll come on the cost side, wherever that is. 12,500.
So that is one of the updates that I will, head towards our finalization. If you guys have any questions. City staff is seeking suggestions or recommendations for any changes that may be required. The difference between budgeted revenues and budgeted expenditures per the preliminary draft is a positive 353,702, with revenues exceeding expenditures. With this current proposal, we currently need to audit expectation of having at least 2 months of revenues or expenditures in reserve. Details on the budgeted reserve and the departmental expenditures for the preliminary draft are explained below. For the general fund revenue, expected revenues related to taxes for the proposed budget are 492,965. City staff used a projection performed by HDL for sales tax and local sales tax revenue, which includes Measure N. These projections are in Exhibit A of Attachment 5. The projection shows sales tax revenue of 584,101 and Measure N sales tax revenue of 829,000.
You mean 4 million? On the budget, on the proposed budget? On the first line?
Yeah, what did I say?
492.
I'm sorry, 4,092,965. Property tax revenue was projected using current actuals. The projected change, please see Exhibit B of Attachment 5 for the projection. Remaining revenue items in the tax category were projected based on estimated revenues from the approved fiscal year 23-24 budget with data through May 24. Any questions?
I'm just trying to let you go through, so we can.
Okay. Stop me at any time. Expected revenues related to building and planning for the proposed budget are $801,767, which is an increase of 41% from the approved fiscal year 23-24 budget. This is due to the increase in cannabis revenue from Central Coast Processing. Expected revenues related to public safety for the proposed budget are $214,200, which is a decrease from fiscal year 23-24 due to the removal of the school resource officer.
Are you also including roots? Not just Central Coast Processing?
No, I only have Central Coast Processing information. I didn't include it.
Okay.
Did you want me to include it?
Well, we haven't
We
had
don't have, do we have an estimate?
6% times 4 million. For new revenue.
It's not cash in hand right now.
No, it's not.
It's not.
But that's the conservative approach from what I'm guessing, but you could leave it out and just hope for the best.
So they're opening in June, July. So 6 months. So we'll have like maybe 2 quarters of revenue.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be not that much. So you could just leave it out.
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Yeah. Not, down.
That could always be brought back when we look at the
Budget amendment.
maybe you're right.
Yes.
Adjustment.
Okay. So I was at where we moved the resource officer. The remaining revenue items in the category budgeted based on current actual. Expected other revenue is budgeted at $5,517,509, which is an increase in the approved budget for fiscal year 23-24, mainly due to the remaining ARPA funds transferred into the general fund. The one-time $1.1 million grant for the facility upgrades. The rental revenue is based on the rent from Clay Septic, AP Wireless, and AP Wireless. The city expects to continue to receive the federal grant of $90,000.
That 1.1 is the state.
Yes.
Yeah.
Three of 11.
General fund expenditures, attachment 1, section B1 is a sum of all department expenditures going below. Just to note that all personnel services in the general fund, except the mayor, council members, city clerk, and treasurer, Parks and Rec commissions, fire and police were calculated based on the following assumptions. Please see exhibit D of attachment 5 for the payroll calculation. This includes SEIU COLA of 5%, 5% COLA for unrepresented employees, estimation of the unfunded liability costs per cost was prepared using the same rates from CalPERS as the previous year, and that's in attachment 5 exhibit E. Cal JPIA estimates for workers' comp insurance, that's attachment 5 exhibit C, and medical insurance costs were assumed to be 10% higher. For cost for council, this is attachment 1, section B3. The budget for the council department for the preliminary draft is $38,642. Increase mainly due to stipend increases. Personnel for this department includes the following: mayor stipend at $150 per month from July 1st to December 31st of 24. Starting January 1st, 25, stipend increases to $750 per month. The 4 council member stipends also $150 per month from July 1st to December 31st, 2024. Starting January 1st, 25, stipend increases to $500 per month. That is the same for the treasurer as well as the clerk. All right, any questions? No. Administration, this is attachment 1, section B3, 4.
The expense budget for the administration department for the preliminary draft is 884,823. Increases due to salary and election expenses, with the 24-25 being an election year. Personnel for this department include the following: city administrator, administrative assistant, HR, newly added grant administrator. The grant administrator salary is expected to be paid through the grants that this position will administer. And will not have fiscal impact. All other line items are budgeted similar to the prior year budget. Any questions? Attorney fees, attachment 1B4, the budget for the attorney department for the preliminary draft is 100,000, no change from prior year budget. Finance, attachment 1, section B4 through 5. The budget for the finance department for the preliminary draft is 632,284. Increase due to salary increases, increase in the annual cost for accounting system. Personnel for this department include the following: finance director, business manager, one accounting clerk that is funded through the general fund at 100%, one accounting clerk that is funded through the general fund at 15%, and the other 85 is covered through the water department. The other 2 accounting clerk positions are 5% of the cost hitting general fund. The other 95% is covered by the water department. All other line items are budgeted based on 23-24 activity. The personnel services expense includes new accounting software with ARPA funds to cover some module implementation not completed in 23-24. Monthly cash sharing and merchant fees, along with fees to HDL and the new services related to sales and property tax revenue projects. Any questions? Okay. Non-departmental attachment 1, E5 through 6. The expenditure budget for the non-departmental department per the preliminary draft is 1,139,547. This is an increase from fiscal year 23-24 of 349,119. Added to this budget as a projected investment payment to the CalPERS California Employers Pension Refunding Trust, the CEPPT, which is the IRS Section 115 trust that was approved on the August 23 council meeting to help lower the city's unfunded liability. All other line items are similar to fiscal year 23-24, with the exception of information technology services that increased 30,000 for services which include iTech support services and web design and management from ArcLight Media. Any questions on that? Those are 2 separate services, the website design management and iTech support services.
Yeah, 2.
And they equal 30,000 for both. Yeah.
I take the larger amount.
iTech the larger, they support pretty much our department. ArcLight is more or less our media.
Website.
All right, moving on. Do you have any questions about the CEPPT? Okay. Building maintenance, attachment 1, E6 through 7. The budget for the building maintenance department per the preliminary draft is 1,934,352. Personnel for this department include the following: 50% of maintenance worker. I'm just gonna say their position. But it's 1 maintenance worker and 1 open maintenance worker position. The other 50% is covered by Pasadena Lighting and Plant. 50% of the maintenance lead, the remaining 50% is covered by Parks and Recs. The proposed budget for other supplies and services for this department include the assumptions. Utilities are proposed to increase of 35,000. Communications expense, including fiber optic internet and phones, 1.7 million transferred to CIP for community facilities grant. And all other line items are budgeted similar to the prior year budget.
1.7 is Leroy phase 2.
Police attachment 1, B7 through 8, the budget for the police department for the preliminary draft is 3,301,578. Personnel for this department include the following: 75% for the chief of public safety, sorry. 2 administrative staff, 1 temporary staff, 9 officers, 1 that is unfilled, and 2 airport officers, a sergeant, a lieutenant, and a code compliance. Personnel services were calculated based on the following assumption. Please see exhibit D of attachment 5 for the payroll calculation. 1 unfilled officer position to be filled as a step A. $5 COLA for chief and public safety per contract, with an assumed 5% COLA increase for POA. SEIU COLA 5% per contract for code enforcement. And overtime was estimated based on the current year fiscal trend through May 2024, which is about 40% of each officer's salary. Estimation of the unfunded liability costs is prepared using the same rate for CalPERS as the previous year. Attachment 5, exhibit E, Cal JPIA, estimate for workers' compensation insurance. Again, attachment 5, exhibit C is currently the same as the previous year, and medical costs for are assumed to be 10% higher. Equipment replacement is an increase of $150,000 for 3 new police vehicles. All other line items in the preliminary draft of the budget were estimated based on annualized data from the current fiscal year, which is similar to the prior year's budget and amended contract.
Will $150,000 cover 3 new police vehicles in this day and age?
50,000.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Good. No, that's great.
If I make a comment, we wanted to try to stay under the $50,000 mark to be able to order. In the end, we're probably gonna have to use additional funds. We cannot at this time piggyback on some of our bigger brother and sister departments like Los Angeles Police Department and get their same rate, what they pay for the vehicles. So we're out shopping right now, kind of by ourselves. So 50,000 is.
Are you planning on staying?
I want to say something that's going to be realistic. We want 3, but we get 150,000. We're going to work with what we get, because right now we're paying a lot in repair bills for the 3 cars that are really old. One we just got back from a crash and so forth. So we're trying to make sure we get our fleet back up so we're not paying high maintenance costs.
I had a quick question. I know that you sent me some numbers in regards to overtime. Was that fire and police? Or is just general? They're the only ones that pretty much work overtime. Yeah, because I see that for the remaining overtime, we have 44,000. And I'm just wondering if we have 1 month left, only 44,000. How will this impact on 2024 and 2025? So yeah, it will be over budget at the end of the fiscal year. And so then we should also plan for the next year that it will probably be. Right now, like I said, I was going based off a trend for the 5 months or for the 11 months that we have spent. That it's 40% of each salary. So that's what I was meant by, but I can increase it if you don't feel like it's enough.
Do you think it's enough?
You think it's enough? So I think currently I got an email saying that we have 44,179 left for the rest of the year. And so next year when we have raises, what would this look So I anticipated the raises, with that 40%. So though the impact that you're seeing is based off of the COLAs, increasing.
If on my 2 cents, I'm looking, what I do, I look at what the trends are for police and for fire, and I try to move those around. The way it looks right now, we're on task to a certain degree, but we're 30,000 less in fire, even though we haven't gotten there yet compared to. So what I try to do is make sure I try to even it out. I think at now, it's between 10 and 20,000.
We're also seeing that there's a position that's still open, so even, he is still exceeding that budget even with a position that's there. Going into the next year, if that position still remains unfilled, you still have that cushion.
Okay, keep going.
Okay. I'll look at it further down for you. Yeah. Okay, so fire attachment 1, the 8 through 9, the budget for the fire department for the preliminary draft is 1,450,615. Personnel for this department includes the following: 25% of the chief of public safety, 3 fire captains, 1 that is unfilled, and 3 fire engineers. Do I have that backwards? I'm sorry, I have that backwards. So it is 3 fire captains that are filled and 3 fire engineers with 1 that needs to be filled. And then we have PCF that are budgeted at 25,000. I put it in there. Okay. Currently, there's none, but there is a $25,000 budget for it. Okay. Personnel services were calculated based on the following assumptions. Please see exhibit D of attachment 5 for the payroll calculation. $5 COLA for chief of police per contract, 10% COLA for the IASF contract. Overtime was estimated based on current fiscal year trends through May 2024, which is about 40% of captain and fire engineer salary. PAS at 25,000. Estimation of the unfunded liability cost is prepared using the same rates for CalPERS as the previous year. Attachment 5 exhibit E. Cal JPIA estimate for workers' compensation insurance. Attachment 5 exhibit C is currently the same as the previous year. Medical insurance costs are assumed to be 10% higher. Equipment replacement and equipment maintenance budgeted at 17,000 each. All other line items in the preliminary draft budget were estimated based on annualized data from the current fiscal year, which are similar to the prior year's budget and amended contracts. Question? Okay. Parks and Recreation, attachment 1, B9 through 10. The budget for the Parks and Recreation Department per the preliminary draft is 467,468. Personnel for this department include the following: manager, 50% of the maintenance leave, facilities coordinator part-time, park and rec commissioners at 100 per meeting attended. I assumed 1 meeting per month for each of them. Senior community center activity coordinator, 100% of the salary will be paid for by the CD2, CD3 grant. The grant ends October 2024. Per CDBG may be able to get on the annual program if registration is not closed, the grant or they will grant an extension until the annual program.
For that again.
So I asked CDBG whether or not we could cover a salary through the grant, and they said that we could. But because our grant is gonna end in October of 2024. They said that there is an annual program that we can apply for. She believes that we've missed the deadline for that for this year, but she could extend our current grant
Okay.
till the time that it opens up again. And then we can apply for that.
And what's the balance on that? You know, yeah.
Maybe
Well, if you don't, you have to dig too deep to where
it might actually be. Yeah. And you get the fund balance. I believe it was 190,000.
quite a bit. So there's a possibility to extend that.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll keep you updated. I have another meeting with them.
All right, good.
All right. The proposed budget for other supplies and services for this department includes an increase of 10,000 to utilities and an increase in office supplies and postage for expected increased marketing and events. All other line items are budgeted similar to our year budget. Building safety permit and planning, attachment 1B 10 through 11. The budget for the building and permit department per the preliminary draft is 413,430. Personnel for this department includes the following: permit technician and associate planner. The budget for professional services is proposed at 140,000. Base third-party invoices for planning services. Based on third-party invoices for planning services. All other line items are budgeted similar to the prior year budget. Cannabis attachment 1B 12. The proposed budget increased by 10,000, which I've already told you it's going to increase by 12,500 more.
More, you're just saying another 2,500.
So the total will be 122,000.
Okay.
General fund conclusion. Overall estimated expenditures for the general fund per the preliminary draft for the budget are in line with estimated revenues and as stands project a balanced budget. Any questions? Okay. Public safety special funds, it's attachment 1C135, so these are special revenue funds. Proposed budgeted revenue for fiscal year 24-25 are similar to prior revenue, with an added 17,715 from the firehouse grant under Fund 41. Most of the funds are Proposition 172 funds related to the local Public Safety Protection and Investment Act of 1993 and must be expended only on public safety services as defined in Government Code 30052. Street Special Fund, gas tax, attachment 1D1. Budgeted revenue for the gas tax fund for the proposed budget are 307,156. As estimated current year activity, the budget for gas tax for the preliminary draft is 153,000, which represents transfers for capital improvements, attachment 2 for street rehabilitation, and 300 for services by other agencies. Question. Local transit fund, which is shorted as LPF, attachment 1D2, budgeted revenues for the LPF per the proposed budget increased to 14,000 for transfers to capital improvement projects. Attachment 2 for sidewalk repairs. Measure A, attachment 1D3 through 4. Budgeted revenues for Measure A per the proposed budget are 1,349,875. Expected an increase in Measure A revenue. The expenditure budget for Measure A per the preliminary draft is 1,349,875. Personnel for this department include the following: 30,000, I'm sorry, 30%, I'm getting tired. 30% public works director, 33.33% engineering technician, 60% of maintenance lead, 60% of maintenance worker. Transfers for capital improvements, attachment 2 are estimated to be 910,229. To fund street rehabilitation, sidewalk repairs, storm drain improvements, Guadalupe Junior High sidewalk project, and 11th Street Safe Routes to School project. ASHC pedestrian attachment 1B5, budgeted revenues are 5,133,341 from ASHC grant to fund the 11th Street Safe Route project. Amtrak Transit Hub rehab, 2 new electric buses and EV charging stations, and the 303 Obispo Street improvements related to transfers to capital improvements, attachment 2 for street rehabilitation. SB1 RMRA attachment 1 D6, budgeted revenues for the SB1 RMRA fund per the proposed budget are 150,000. The expenditure budget for SB1 RMRA per the preliminary draft is 150,000. Related to the transfers for capital improvements, attachment 2 for street rehabilitation. And there's nothing for SB1, yeah. Enterprise funds, to note for this as well, all personnel services in the enterprise fund were calculated based on the following assumptions. Please see exhibit D of attachment 5 for the payroll calculation. For general fund, FEIU COLA of 5%, 5% COLA for unrepresented employees. Estimation of the unfunded liability cost was prepared using the same rates for CalPERS as the previous year. Attachment 5, exhibit E. Cal JPIA estimate for workers' compensation insurance, attachment 5, exhibit C. Medical insurance costs are assumed to be 10% higher. For water operating, attachment 1, E1-3. I'm sorry, E1 through 3. Budgeted revenues related to the water operating fund for the proposed budget are 2,462,300, estimated based on the year 23-24 activity. Budgeted expenditures per the proposed budget are 2,560,471. Personnel for this department include the following: 30% public works director, 33.33% engineering technician, water supervisor, 2 water maintenance operators, and 85% of the accounting clerk, of 1 accounting clerk, and 95% of 2 other accounting clerks. All other line items in the preliminary draft of the budget were estimated based on 23-24.
How's your voice?
To get raspy.
A lot of reading.
Yeah.
I'm almost done.
Yeah, you
I only have 11 pages.
yeah, you're doing good.
All right. Muster through this. Wastewater operating, attachment 1, E4 through 5. Budgeted revenues per the proposed budget are 2,087,600. The expenditure budget for the wastewater operating fund per the preliminary draft is 2,076,641. Personnel for this department includes the following: 30% public works director, 33.33% engineering technician, wastewater supervisor, and 3 wastewater maintenance operators. All other line items in preliminary draft for the budget were estimated based on annualized data for the current fiscal year. Question? Transit, attachment 1, E6 through 7. The transit fund is budgeted to receive revenues in the amount of 4,735,311. The expenditure budget for the transit fund for the preliminary draft is 1,363,209, which is similar to the approved budget for fiscal year 22-23. Personnel for this department include the following: allocation of 10% of the public works director, maintenance worker lead, and maintenance worker personnel cost. Transfer to capital improvements project attachment two are budgeted to be 404,118 for the following projects: the 2 electric buses, 2 bus shuttle, shelters, electric van, and 308 Obispo Street improvement. That's probably 303 Obispo Street. Sorry. So that's a typo. And then I think I need to check on the state too, because I'm not sure if that's this should have been 23, 24. Sorry. I'll make the correction for the final. All right, so then water capital, attachment 1, E8. Budget revenue was estimated to reflect expected impact fees from the Pasadena Development, and standby charges projected at 664,000. Transfer for capital improvements attachment 2 are budgeted to be 650,000 for the following projects: the elevated tank painting, advanced metering infrastructure, and SCADA improvements. Wastewater capital attachment 1-9, budget revenue for IRWM grant is 989,000 for the Pioneer Lift Station. Transfer for capital improvements attachment 2 are budgeted to be 989,000 for the following projects: the Pioneer Lift Station. Questions on those? Wastewater capital attachment 1, E9, budget revenue. Oh, I already read that. Sorry. Miscellaneous special funds attachment 1, F1 through 11. Budgeted revenues for the library fund have been estimated to reflect a $15,000 transfer from the general fund that covers the library rent cost of $15,000. The public facilities fund is budgeted to receive funds from the Escalante Meadows development, currently budgeted at 4,500 based on fiscal year 23-24 year-to-date activity.
Janice, I think it's not 15, but 20,000.
So the rent, it was originally 22, but the only thing that I seen coming in was a invoice for 15,000, and then we covered that through the general fund, so that's why I left it at 15,000. So I don't know if it's. I check with Unreal now. Okay, I was looking to see what I'm doing. Okay, I think that changed. So well, that one to 7,000. I know that we talked about this even last year, where we were supposed to get like in the 7,000 from somebody.
Yeah. It's not huge.
I'll increase the budget if you guys are okay with that to 22,000, just to make sure we cover the right cost. But currently I have the invoice at 15,000. Set 15 for the whole fiscal year. I know that was the only for 12 months. That's the only one that I was seeing.
You know, regarding the library, wasn't there some activity in terms of increasing, getting more money from the county on that?
It was like that, not for rent. There was increase.
But overall,
For the operation.
right,
But not, not for rent.
for rent itself.
For the rent.
Okay.
For the house.
It's good to have the buffer in there anyway, just in case, it's good to have the buffer in there just in case for the rent.
Yeah, the only thing I had in here was, an invoice for 15,000 for this year. But I'll just, so we have it.
We'll take that.
All right, Public Facilities Fund is budgeted to receive funds from the Escalante Metals Development, currently budgeted at 4,500. Based on fiscal year 23-24 year-to-date activity. The Park Development Fund is budgeted to receive funds from the Escalante Metals Development for 7,200. The CDBG Fund and the Park Development Fund currently have an inter-fund loan for Leroy Park and expected to be partly repaid when the project is completed. The Capital Facilities Fund houses monies from People Self-Help Housing and Pasadena Development Impact Fees. Staff prepared a program of projects for council's approval as to the use of the fund, and that's an attachment 3. This includes 61,500 for public safety equipment that was on the list last year and was not purchased, and 813,521 for capital improvements. Attachment 2. The public safety equipment includes fire hose and a biometric locking system. Do you guys want to review that real quick, or was it? It was on the list, it just didn't. So good one.
On the biometric system, where's it gonna be applied? You know?
We've been we've been discussing that, I don't know where that came from. I think that was something that Shannon was looking for the whole city.
Yeah,
And
I think it was a Shannon thing.
I want to be professional, that's not us.
Okay, because I know at one point she wanted to have that system at the senior center, but I don't. To have the actual system to, automatic door. Oh,
Yeah,
Yes, that was,
So is this something we want to remove off of this? I mean, it's 60,000.
how much?
Is there a list that has more details as to why that was input?
Oh, no, this is the list of last year.
I'm just curious if it has some safety measures, just because like if you're walking around here and you have to have like 20 keys and you're having to look for it, and so if there's an accident. How long does it take to deploy and open that door if somebody has to make keys? I don't know. I'm just curious.
I mean, did you find something like that useful in terms of access, or do you like keys?
I gotta admit that we have those on the police department. So we don't carry around a lot of keys. The only issue I have with that is who's gonna monitor and control that whole system if it's citywide. That part, I don't think has been discussed.
You volunteer? I don't know,
Yeah,
we could research it more,
yeah, I
but
need to dig a little more into that.
for now, should we leave it in as a budget?
Right.
That's 60,000.
You guys have-
Or you could take it out and we could
Already
research.
like things out locked and keys, because I know several times I've heard you guys say anything out that locked, and so what does that mean?
It's usually when, like they, senior center was a necessity because we had LADG in there originally, so that's why we changed stuff, but it's not very often.
Or the vet's hall,
Oh, the vets.
the vet's hall.
Yeah.
They're just locked, they're not by that.
But we should just do that, and like how often are we changing?
Right.
Is the biometric system, is that like a keyless entry? Is that a
Yeah.
sunrise? Oh, okay.
Sometimes, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, it could be code too.
I mean, I feel like that 60,000 would only be enough for like one building. I'm actually in the middle of a keyless entry system at my work, and I feel, so it's like, I don't know, I feel like we could buy a new car.
Although it's enterprise funds. It's enterprise funds, you can't use it for.
Earmark.
No, not trying.
All right, your budget for the
What would be the pros? The pros to that for your office?
For the Keeler.
That's you use flag cards?
So we already have, we have, we have existing swipe cards. We also have codes, but it's just to
there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, it's taking a whole, team of people.
Working all weekend and.
Would you like me to leave it in or just do more research on
We need more research. It doesn't seem useful
it? Okay.
at this point.
Remove it.
Okay. Fund 79 reflects revenues and expenditures for the Royal Theater. Budgeted revenue, I didn't even put any details on that. Do you guys need specific?
For traffic mitigation or?
No, I
Oh,
just,
for rail, did you-
it's Fund 79, which is the Royal Theater. We had received 5,000, we had received 8 million in CAC
Right.
money from that. We paid out the 3 million to the Housing Authority.
Right.
So we have 5 million left in that fund. Currently, there's probably about 300,000 that we've spent of what the current fund balance was in there from the transfer of the bonds. So there's still the 5 million plus maybe $100,000 left in that.
Yeah, it's a little under 5 million because there's been some spent out of this
Yeah.
CSC, but. I mean, it's not really, it's its own category in a sense.
Yeah, but if you have any questions about it, I can go into.
Are you gonna be at the June 18th meeting?
Will I be at the June meeting? Yeah, I'll be here. Okay. Budget revenues for traffic mitigation are 50,000 as estimated in the project attachment 2 for street rehabilitation.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
Budgeted revenues and expenditures for CDBG funds have been updated to reflect expected grant funding for the following project. DB23, total grant of 193,000. Central Park, total grant of 4,120,000. Bureau Park Phase 2, total grant of 1,700,000. Fund 120 CARES Act, ARPA, the total reward for the city was 1,860,000. The proposed budget for fiscal year 24-25 includes the use of ARPA funds in the amount of 961,470, in which 797,698 is to fund general fund expenditures, mainly allocated to City Hall roof and wall repairs. Attachment 4 describes the use of the funds. If you want to go over that, I do need to make an amendment on that just because Streets contacted me today about vegetation maintenance in the downtown area. And we did have that budgeted in the ARPA funds for previous. So I want to bring that back to them versus having it put to the roof and wall.
There was a time, wasn't there, you see the grant for maintenance, weed maintenance for 20 grand?
Tree trimming.
Well,
Is that
it was
the-
kind of-
is that the
Yeah.
ref A? 'Cause that was-
Originally it was 50 grand, I think, if I remember
It
right.
was a 3-year grant for.
Yeah, it was a 3-year
20,000
grant, yeah.
20,000 each year, it's probably, I don't know how long ago that
I
was.
feel like that was just for cleanup and.
Yeah, it was-
Yeah, not
And then we were
tree
looking
trimming.
at perhaps having another entity doing it as opposed to the city. I mean, yeah, as opposed to the city.
Yeah.
But then I think Shannon mentioned we need to put it in the city, run it through the city expenses, city staff
Yeah,
expenses.
and I think that one grant was for the, just the cleanup of taking
Right.
out of the, but not the tree trimming. which-
Right, no.
Yeah, yeah. I think that if you want, for the trees, I think it makes sense because, I know we have that 1.1 million and once the bids come through between the ARPA and the 1.1 million, and then also what the chief is doing for his remodel project that was part of that grant, I think we'll be in good condition financially and to be able to take out 16, was it?
It's 12,000.
12,000 to do tree trimming But we could check on that 3-year.
Well, again, with the tree trimming, isn't there an issue that it's a Caltrans issue? To trim it, or is it ours? I know that somebody didn't want to cut the tree because it's.
Right.
Caltrans.
Yeah, we can inquire about that. Honestly, I think we just kind of were trimming on our own because they weren't doing it.
I think because during their workshop, they implement those trees too, and so it would be much to know more information.
We can check on that. And I'll email you.
Moving on. Lighting landscape district funds, attachment 1, G1 through 5, the budgeted revenues for these district funds reflect estimates based on fiscal year 23-24 year-to-date activity. The budgeted expenditures for these funds are similar to the prior year budget, with the exception of Pasadena, where employee costs are designated to this fund, phasing out the use of a third-party vendor. Successor agency funds, attachment 1, H1 through 4, the budgeted revenue are $490,714. These funds reflect estimates based on the approval from the DOF, which are detailed on Exhibit H.
That's Rob's.
That's one. Guys. Capital improvement project, attachment 2. The CIP attachment identifies all the capital projects to be undertaken during the budget cycle. With council approval, the city plans on completing $35,055,398 in fiscal year 24-25 for public improvements, which are detailed in attachment 2.
And ARPA funds. That was extended to. It was extended, correct?
Yes, yes, it was. Yeah, I forget the end date, but it was a couple of years at least.
5.
Yeah, I forget, it was at least another year or two
Okay.
out. Okay. I confirmed a year.
Year?
Yep.
You confirmed it or Phil confirmed it?
I think we remember seeing it.
Yeah,
I think
it's definitely been extended. I don't think 2 years, but definitely a year.
I think from the time we talked about the extensions.
Probably.
Yeah.
Where's our audits? Where are we at?
I'm still working with auditors, with the system implementation, I have had to accounts like excessively. There was duplicate, transactions posted. So I'm currently, I have 16 more accounts left to scrub. I'm meeting with them tomorrow. We also had not an issue with revenue, but an issue with the way the AR was posting. When it came over from the old system to the new system, I met with Tyler Friday, got training on where to get those reports. Luckily, it was under Lorena's account where the actual reports are. So I have actual numbers to be able to post swiftly that proper amount. And once that's done, I can give the auditors the final general ledger balances, and we should be done in probably a couple months.
Okay.
I mean, very excessive.
Yeah, it's pretty extensive backup information to cut here, although you can't see half of it, but. Yeah.
You need a magnifying.
I do, I tried.
But if we open it up in PDF, you can.
I did that.
Okay.
It's done intentionally.
Yeah.
But I did want to point out, so, we talked about the firefighters, I didn't put their totals in with the budget, but I did highlight them on on the fire, so you can see what it is.
Right.
To date with their salaries.
Looking at the reserve. you know, we've got a pretty good cushion there right now. Which is good, and good to report to the grand jury that we're doing better. No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just curious on that note, how does the city maintain or increase those reserves like in the future?
So what we do is, whatever we haven't spent, so we have the budget, we have like open positions or areas that we have not spent. That extra money ends up, if whatever the difference is, ends up going to the,
Reserve account.
to a reserve account, and that's how we calculate whether or not. When I'm budgeting the next year, this is what I'm budgeting for, this is what I'm seeing that my revenues are. This might be the amount that I could carry back over into the reserve, so then that's what I'm calculating, is what is currently in that reserve fund plus what I'm expecting we might have for this experiment. For this year.
Yeah, so in this type of accounting, every year the budget's balance, it starts over. So anything excess goes into a reserve fund as cash.
Yeah.
And so then that builds up the reserve fund.
Think about it, if I know you're used to like a public accounting rate, so if you had I'm getting a blank. Like I said, I'm losing my accounting term here. But it rolls over, that amount that rolls over into your capital, that's basically what you do also for everything.
So usually cities will need to have rollovers to maintain this.
Yeah.
So if we have expend too much this time, then we cut off from the next year.
Yeah, because it'll pull from that.
And when do we get that update for the ending of 2024?
When audit is completed.
Which is then in what month?
When is it?
Yeah, what month are you expected to have the audit done?
I'm hoping that it would, like I said, I have a lot that still needs to be done with them, so maybe 2 months from now, I could say that will be completed.
Now, what's the percentage increase from last year's budget to this year's budget? To this proposed budget?
It's a little.
It's in here somewhere, but I'm not going to.
I didn't put the percentage in there, but I can get it for you. Last year we had expenditures of 7,248,615. So we've increased by 3 million this year.
That's a big increase.
It's a big increase.
It's all in the police department too.
So our revenue.
Yeah.
One note, I would say that I think the last fiscal year, on the pie chart, he was 62%, now he's like 48%. Of the total general fund. I'm giving you a plug.
The thing is that we've got 1 million. So you won't do that again next year. So
Right.
it might go down.
Yeah.
Next year, depending. Unless we keep getting one thing.
The only thing, adding, and correct me if I'm wrong on this one, is the money that we did not use. That was allocated. Rolls back into the general fund in the following year, correct?
Correct.
And what I'm talking about is Fund 76. Because,
Yes, that's a special revenue fund,
that's
and it doesn't roll back, it doesn't go into the general fund.
well, but I look on here is the items that council had approved. Unfortunately, we were not able to use at the time.
So you have a fund balance.
A year or two ago for repairs.
If you're able to, I don't know if you're able to use it for repairs, if it's, you're talking about fund, the public safety fund.
The 76, because we had allocated for, like the, women's locker room. And stuff like that, that was approved. But I see on 76, those items are not there, so I'm just trying to figure out, do we need to resubmit?
So it depends on
Sure.
what your original, yeah, what your agreement is for that, for those funds. And that you have to stay within that parameter.
Most definitely, well, yeah, but we were,
And
that
then
was
if
approved,
you're-
we just
and if
didn't use it.
Yeah.
Because
so
of
it's in
the cost of building,
It's still there then.
it expired, yeah, it was got too expensive. And lumber was hard to get at the time, so we just had held off. So I wasn't sure, just do we need to re-request? Or it's there?
No, I think I rolled it back over, so we were talking about Fund 76, if you look into the details of it.
Yeah, I looked at it.
Um,
It shows that biometric and a fire hose.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. what
no, that's for, the capital facilities funds.
It was listed under part 2 on.
I'm talking about this.
Yeah.
So only this part is coming from, it's for public safety and then this for, so this is all the amount that's the it's 550.
I guess I'm asking where the items that we had approved, like last budget.
You
That
guys
we
have
did
already,
not use.
these are the ones that you didn't use. I removed the ones that you already purchased.
Okay, so it's, I think you remember, we had 5,000 we did to redo the fire department as far as the kitchen.
Right.
And so forth, and then at the same time, we, it was allocated to have funds to do the police department. As far as the sleeping quarters and the kitchen area and so forth, and
And that
cost of
was
labor
the
went
year
up, and we didn't
before,
use the funds.
because last year's,
Why was it about 2 years? Shannon was here at the time.
Yeah,
okay,
I do know Jeff's working on the bid docs for all of this, so just to do it right.
that wasn't last year, but maybe it's in the year before.
The year before, so I'm just trying to figure out where that is, and is that still there?
Not
or
if
do we
it's, not if
need
it's
to
a
redo?
76, because if you look at 76, the fund balance is 553,000. That, and we're using that plus ARPA to come up for that 1 million, and that 1 million covers all these projects. So really, if you have 60,000 that you're not using.
Okay, no, I just wanted to make sure I know how to write this out. In a budget to you, or do I bring this back to council? How should
you-
that be handled?
You can give me your,
Adjustments on
what you're wanting to do, and have them discuss it at that time.
Okay.
There was one small item on, regarding O'Connell Park, it's only, I think it's 10,000 on the gate,
Mhm.
I don't think we need that.
Remove it?
I thought it's, expense, like you did.
Yeah, that's there in the.
But we never did one on the front end. Do you want it? It's not, well, I'm for us.
So that's attachment 4 of your ARPA funds, and that goes,
Unless you want.
next to it says roof and wall repair. Okay, so we're planning on moving it to roof and wall repair. So we're
Oh, there
not
goes-
using it for the gate any longer.
There goes your feedback from the tree trimming.
No, there's a separate line for things that are-
I'm just saying.
What's the status on the generator, chief?
Excuse me. It is, currently the $80,000 generator is currently being built. We're hoping that by the end of the year, we'll have that one. And we're still waiting to hear from, FEMA on the smaller generator.
Okay, what do you need from us, Denise?
I just wanted, so I made some notes on some, things that you guys want for, the next meeting.
the next meeting, I will come with the resolution and finalization for you guys to review and approve. So you to do.
Yeah, this is really
Thorough.
In depth.
thorough. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah. I can attest, there's 3 in the morning when she's working on some of this stuff.
I've been busy. So I did it in 6 days. But
Wow.
I have other projects I'm working on, so this was like. Had to get it in.
Okay, well, good job.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Staff, let's see, where are we now? What do you need, you have enough? You don't need any direction from us other than what we discussed with you.
Right.
Okay. Okay, just review and interactive, future agenda items.
Yeah. Okay, so status on the.
Oh, the
board
joint,
meeting, The.
not set up yet, but I'm working on it.
There's one more, we have another meeting in June, we only have 3.
Yeah, I think that's kind of us waiting to get past some of these. The bond and, you know, all that stuff. But yeah, I wasn't. Future,
Well, there's announcements, I think, Christina, you have any announcements?
I'll just share that this is May 24th, I hope, for my done with the flag raising. Myself, my nephew, and my 2 nephews and my son, and 2 volunteers from the community. It was a lot of work. I'm really glad this flag raising.
Yeah.
We will get a little more community support the next time. The city of Santa Maria Rangers led a bike ride out to the levee trail. So for the first time, I was able to cycle from the levee trail for a bit with the city rangers, which was really nice.
Maybe you're City Rangers, you're talking about Santa Maria City Rangers?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
Officer Ruben Ramirez was one of the rangers leading it. Unfortunately, my son didn't see there was a dip. He fell and broke his arm, so I know that hopefully we can get a trail out there in the future. And then I also attended the Walubi Art Gala by Stephanie Krause and the Walubi Mary Barron. A really amazing event. So thank you.
So that's how we focus on. I have to try to.
How'd your brother break the bar? How'd he break the bar?
She didn't say.
Are you good, you said it, Rose, any
Nothing.
move for adjournment, any, is there a motion to move?
I'm open to adjourn.
All the, second. Yeah.
I second.
Any discussion, all those in favor, motion die?
yeah,
Yeah, okay, that's all.
did you hear?
I will let you know.
Better go before the.
My attorney.
I'll fill you in later.
I'll let you know.
Better go before the cops take me.
Wow.
We'll fill you in later. Don't worry, wink, wink.
You guys not right.
All right, we'll talk later. The line was like really good. We got a good pre June.
What about money?
Maybe for a couple. I will look whatever you need. I am gonna be gone about 3 weeks. It's a little hard about being. Relax. Working somewhere else.